Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Through the Fire. I am your host, Ryan Wickline, and today we are joined by a very special guest. He is Rob Rene from Exodus Strong. How you doing today, Rob?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good.
I'm kind of excited to kind of hear your backstory.
Yeah, I've been through some interesting times, that's for sure. So and we can go lots of directions, and I'm just super excited to, at the end of the day, I'm just pray that we can make a difference in one person's life, right? If we do that, then I'm happy, right? That's my goal, is hopefully I can inspire somebody through my crazy life and my crazy story and the things that the good Lord has put me on this earth for. I'm hoping that I can help someone. So that's the goal today.
Yep, I love it. So, number one question the audience is probably wondering: who is Rob Rene?
Yeah, that's an awesome question. Right now, I would say I'm a man of God on fire for making a difference. And man, that is not the same person that I was a number of years ago. I mean, I'm just stepping into what I believe God has for me, and finally feel I'm in my purpose. But man, God, I'm 57 years old, and it's taken me a really long time to figure it out. And I've been through so many trials and tribulations that it's absolutely incredible. I think I've had 4 near-death experiences where times where I literally should probably not be here on this earth, but God still has a plan for me, because I am here. And so we can talk about some of those scenarios and things that happen, but at the end of the day, I'm just super excited about life, and super excited about helping people learn from what I did, maybe right or wrong, and then hopefully I can make a difference in this world.
Man, it's crazy when you look back at that it took you that long to find your purpose. And so
Yeah.
many people are like, if they don't find it within a year, they give up.
Yes. Yeah. I think it's really important. That's like, at the end of the day, if you have breath in your lungs today, God has a plan for your life. And so I want to give you some hope and inspiration that, hey, no matter how big or bad things get, you're still here. And so if you are here, God has a plan for your life. And, it took me, like I said, a long time to figure out my purpose. And I can see how God has trained me my entire life to be the person that I am today. And man, but I didn't see that for a long time, right? Each major trial I had was interesting and difficult, and at the time it sucked, right? And I just didn't like those valleys are really low. But every single time, he's good, and he gets me through it. And I'm excited to just give people the hope, and that no matter how bad things seem to be, that it's going to get better, and it can get better, and there's hope.
Yeah. You were a former high-level athlete with Olympic aspirations.
Yeah.
What happened?
That was my early goal in life, was to be a professional runner, which this was 25 30 years ago, which there weren't professional runners 25 30 years ago. It was a sport. Long distance running was my thing. Just one of those things that God gave me this natural talent for. Thank goodness. And I just excelled. I played all different types of sports, but running was the thing that I was a little extra special at. And but I also had a brother that was 4 years older than I, that kind of was my mentor, that taught me things, and I learned things from him that really helped me in my path. And one of those things was learning about nutrition, and how important actually what you put into your body, how it fuels your body. And I learned that as a teenager, which is really strange for most teenagers. They're not thinking about what they're putting in their body to fuel it to be, to do sports. It's like, hey, how can I get my hot dogs and hamburgers and, just live life and have my pizza. But back then, I read a book that was called Eat to Win. And that book was amazing, because it literally taught me that my fueling at the end of my races came from the foods that I was eating. So I always had a great finish to my races. And I attributed that to learning how to fuel my body appropriately. So I would fuel it right, and I'd always have an extra oomph at the end, and my competitors get really mad. They're like, man, he always can outkick us. He can always finish harder. And there's like, I didn't understand why. And, me, I'm like, hey, I know why, but I'm not going to tell you, it's because I'm eating well. I know how to fuel this temple in a special way. So that was kind of my early goal in life, was just to be a professional runner. I got a full ride running scholarship, to a Division I college, and things were just looking perfect. Everything was on its way up and going well. And then, lo and behold, I ended up getting hit by a 4x4 truck out on one of my training runs. And that 4x4 truck hit me and threw me 36 feet. I landed straight on my face, and I just about died that particular day. So that was one of my 4 near-death experiences was that accident. And so, that took me on a path that was just totally different, right? I thought I had everything was going perfectly, and I was on a particular path, and then boom, in an instant, my life was changed. So I've had that a couple of times throughout my life, but that was the first, what I call the first truck.
What was your mindset like after that accident?
Yeah, it was tough. It was very tough, to be honest, because it was, I was super motivated and had spent 10 plus years training every single day for that particular, objective. And then all of a sudden for it to be gone was really, really tough. But, I had a good, the brother that I mentioned, he helped me make sure I had something to fall back on. So yes, I was a good runner, but I was also a decent student. So I did well in my schools. And so I fell back onto my schoolwork, and I ended up getting a good job and got my degree. And I went on to a successful career. But for a short, period of time, the first 6 months to a year, I really struggled, right? I really had a difficult time even being around runners or being around people who did what I used to do, because it was just, that was so near and dear to me that it was just gone. But, I did go, have a very successful career. I ended up getting my degree, and I went into the sales world and had a really successful career doing, selling enterprise software. So that's what I did for a really long time.
Nice. What led you to start looking at healthcare system and more natural ways of healing?
Yeah, that's but what happened literally is the second truck. So a perfect segue, because right as I'm in my corporate career and everything's going great, boom, I call it the second truck because the pandemic hit. And when the pandemic hit, it had a similar impact on my body as the first one, right? The first one, it was like I got hit by that 4x4 truck, and the second one, it was like, oh my gosh, I lost my sales job because we couldn't travel because of COVID. And I was a traveling salesperson. And so it was like, okay, well, crap, this is the first time in my life that I'd had the time to sit back and kind of look what was going on in the world. And early on with COVID, it was like, everyone's freaking out. It's like, well, how do I take care of my family, right? How do I take care of, how do I not get this really bad thing that's happening? And so I started doing research, and oh my gosh, what I uncovered was absolutely phenomenal and incredible and disappointing and frustrating and just all the adverbs and just things that you can mention. But just because it was nuts. What I learned was so infuriating about what is going on with our healthcare system in the United States. Well, actually in the world, to be honest. And it was really frustrating. I started doing. I got this skill of research. So it's a skill that I implore anybody and everybody to have, is you can't listen to what social media tells you. You can't listen to what the media is telling you, especially the mainstream media. You can't listen to what the radio is telling you. There's so much misinformation out there that it's really hard to decipher true from false information. And so you got to go do your own research. You need to just decipher things for yourself, and you need to think for yourself, and you need to get away from it. Because what I ended up finding out, which was super frustrating, was a lot of the information that we learn as individuals is controlled information. It's information with literally an agenda to get you to think a certain way and believe a certain way. And I didn't have a clue that that was possible in the United States of America. I thought that was only for, maybe North Korea or China, right? They're the ones who get the wool pulled over their eyes, and we're the United States of America. We're the land of the free, and I thought that was the case. But the more research I did, I just uncovered things about how our information is controlled, and then I really dug into healthcare. I saw this one doctor who was getting vilified for selling or talking about vitamin D to help you. It was like during the COVID thing. So it was like, and they were suing him for billions of dollars, like with a B. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this dude is a really bad doctor, or maybe vitamin D is really bad. So I started doing research. I'm like, what's going on? Why are they doing this? And I researched vitamin D. I'm like, okay, vitamin D is like from the sun. It's the most natural thing that is out there. Without vitamin D, we don't have oxygen. So it's like, doesn't make any, that didn't make any sense. And then I was like, this doctor must be really bad. So I did a lot of research on the doctor himself, and the doctor was fine. He's a holistic practitioner who was trying to help people with their health. So I was like, I don't understand. So what's the motivation, right? Why are they attacking this guy? I don't get it. And then when I started doing research on the motivation for why they're trying to keep him quiet about vitamin D, my stomach turned, because it's like, holy smokes, they don't care about getting people healthy. All they care about is the almighty dollar. And it was like, really? And it's like, that doesn't seem right. So I just started doing research. I dug into this rabbit hole, and then this rabbit hole, and this rabbit hole, and I just started digging and digging and digging. And man, I found out that our healthcare system was really taken over in the early 1900s by the Rockefellers. And you can do some research on, there's a report called the Flexner Report that, I'd love people to go do your own research on the Flexner Report. But at the end of the day, what you'll find is our healthcare system, our medical schools were taken over by the Rockefellers in the early 1900s, and they only taught pharmaceutical-based medication and solutions. And they vilified all natural health practitioners. And it was done by design. And in my opinion, one of the reasons why they did that was they would only recommend the pharmaceutical-based medications, aka based upon the oil that they owned and controlled, and that they could patent these things. And so when you see that early on and how that changed our whole healthcare system, and then you see the big rise of Big Pharma and how much they literally control our world. And I don't mean that in a small way. I mean that in a really big way, that they own the science. They own the doctors. They own the media. They own they can control so much information that what we think and what we hear is a lot of times not accurate information. It's information they want us to think. And that was really frustrating. It's like, really? We live in the United States of America, the land of the free, and here I am being snowballed with information that's not accurate and not true. And so when I started uncovering those truths, I got really pissed off. I'm just like, this really makes me mad. So I just dug in, right, and learned as much as I could about health. And I had the background of my athletic world, right, where I knew that what I put in my body fueled my body, and I became that. So I just leaned on that. And I think I don't think that during that time period, I did a lot of research on health and all natural health, but I also did a lot of research on the Bible. And that was interesting, because I was a Christian when I was growing up, but I was one of those Christians that, I'd go to church, and as soon as the door hit me in the butt on Sunday, I didn't think about church until the next Sunday, right? And then I'm sitting in the service, and I'm like, oh, this is great, but I wasn't living it out during the week. So when this all happened, I was questioning my faith. I was questioning everything, to be honest. And so I started digging into the Bible, and man, I read the Bible from cover to cover, and I really developed a personal relationship with God. And that really changed my life and transformed who I am as a person. And so it was fun. I was doing health research all over the place and digging into what's happening in the world. And then I was researching the Bible and the truths in the Bible and all the information about health in the Bible. There's lots of information about health. That's why we ended up creating this product called Exodus, was from the research that I had done in the Bible and the health benefits of it. So anyway, that got me down the whole health rabbit hole, was that second truck. So I know it was a really long-winded answer to your question, but that's what got me so excited and motivated about health, was just being lambasted with the COVID and losing my job, and finally digging in and doing research for myself about what's going on in the world. And man, it was fascinating. And I love to share the information that I did learn, because when people start seeing it for themselves, it's stuff you can't unsee. It's like, oh, wow, really? I didn't realize that's happening in our world, or that is possible. And then you start doing research for yourself, and you start finding these sources of truth that you can rely upon, that you take information from mainstream media, for example, and it's like, that doesn't sound right. And then you start doing your own research and you dig it. And, and I listen to the information from the right, from the left, from the top to the bottom. I listen to it from everywhere. And then I take it and do my own research on those topics. And then I can make up my own mind, right, about what I believe. And I have a blast doing that, because it really helps me be grounded in my faith, but then also just grounded in my belief systems and how I can make a difference in the world. So,
yeah, it's kind of crazy when you look at it, how many like doctors and people were being attacked during COVID, who were talking about more of a holistic approach than the old natural, like sunlight, going outside, walking, and exercise.
right.
Like the little things that we all know to be true that they were trying to cover up. I mean, why do you think they were doing that so much during COVID?
Yeah, it literally was because there was an agenda. There was an agenda that is an evil agenda. It was like really, really bad that they did that. And you had to look at it and say, why, right? What's the motivation? And that's when you start finding that literally 6 organizations own most of our communication mechanisms all across the globe. Right, like media and entertainment, and news stations and news radio stations, and the entertainment industry. It's all intertwined and interconnected. And you go all the way to the top, and there's only like 6 corporations who own thousands and thousands of businesses and all this information. Yet there's a communication mechanism where they literally plan out what they want to have happen, and what the narrative that they want to portray. And so, unfortunately, with COVID, it's something that had been planned for a really long time, and they implemented portions of it just really, really well. And they found out how they could control a globe. To be honest, that was
really they did a pretty good job of it.
They did a great job. Yeah.
You talked about some of the reading the Bible and connecting that with your research. What were some of the foods in the Bible that lead to healing that you found out?
It's so much fun, because it's like there are lots of them, right? I was doing research. There's 25, 30 different ingredients in the Bible, and it's like it's fascinating, because each one has different benefits. And that's what was so fascinating to me, is I was literally I'm like, how can I help the world, right? I'm going to develop these solutions to help. And I was trying to find a combination that was like maybe unique, that no one else had come up with, or I was praying and trying to find these solutions. And I found some great ingredients, and we'll talk about a few of them in a second. But what's interesting is I was led to this practitioner in California who had this hydrogen component, and the hydrogen component was amazing, because hydrogen literally is the base element that God created, right? The hydrogen is the smallest element known to man, the first item in the periodic table, right? But it's so small. And then you look at the research that's been done with hydrogen and the benefit of hydrogen inside the human body, it's fascinating. It's like, oh my gosh. So I was talking to this practitioner, and he had this hydrogen component that when you mix it with the human body, it gets into the human body, into your cells. And so what I ended up doing is I said, let's take the 7 best biblical ingredients, the ones that really people are really deficient in nowadays, and we can talk about why people are deficient in those, and let's give them the nutrients they need, and let's give them the components that they need, and then we add in the molecular hydrogen, and the combination of those two is going to be a supplement that no one's ever seen, and it really has amazing health benefits. And that's what Exodus is. So if you look at a couple of them that were super important for us to put in, it was barley grass and wheatgrass, which you're like, what? Barley grass and wheatgrass? What's so special about those? Well, what's important about those two in particular is today, if you look at our food supply today, our food supply is just getting trashed in a really big way. 70% of our food is ultra processed food. So the nutrients in our food are being diminished. So there's very few nutrients that you need to fuel this body. So as I was doing research on the human body and health, our body needs about 96 nutrients every single day for it to thrive. And unfortunately, we're not getting near enough of those nutrients every day. And so if you can't get them we used to get them from our foods, right? With the plants and the minerals that come from our food. But since our soil is being depleted and all this food supply is ultra processed food, there's very little nutrients that we're actually consuming in a day. So you need to supplement that with something. And so that's why we put barley grass and wheatgrass into the very, very rich with oxygen, right? Oxygenating the environment in your body has lots of health benefits. Cancer and other things, they can't survive in an oxygenated body. So having those two ingredients are super, super important as part of it. So those are two, and we ended up putting 7 of them in Exodus because each one has a specific benefit. But the Bible is fascinating with the ingredients that God put on this earth for us, right? That He said you should actually utilize these, and so I try to do that a lot with the ingredients that I try to put into I try to get my 96 nutrients every day. I do it through a combination of eating well, but then also I have to supplement because I know I'm not going to get enough of those nutrients based upon the foods that I eat.
Yeah. So what is the Exodus supplement you developed?
Yeah, it's really fun. It's got the 7 biblical ingredients that make up the biblical foundation of it, but then it's got that molecular hydrogen blend. And so the 7 ingredients that we mentioned, barley grass and wheatgrass, right? Those give you the nutrients we just went through. The third one is saffron. Saffron is really fascinating. It's the most it's actually more expensive than gold, which is bizarre. But the neat thing about saffron is it really helps with stress and anxiety. So it's really good at mood control. So that's very, very helpful. And then we also include cumin and aloe. Aloe has hundreds of health benefits, really good for gut health. I have a podcast and I interview holistic doctors every week. And on that podcast, they talk about gut health being like the key to your health. And I was like, well, why? What does that mean? And they're like, well, your body processes the nutrients that you need, and when your gut is not well, then it's not processing the food correctly or not processing the nutrients. So you need to have really good gut health. So that's why aloe is really important to it. So anyway, barley grass, wheatgrass, saffron, aloe, and then we have cumin, frankincense, and myrrh are the other 3. And those really help with inflammation. Inflammation is the source of all disease. So those doctors that I interview, right, they're like, you reason why you get a disease, and it doesn't matter which one, but all disease literally starts and stems from inflammation. So if you can minimize inflammation, you can help prevent disease. in the body. And so inflammation is super important. So you want to have the right nutrients in this human body. You want to give it what it needs in order to operate the way God made it. God made it, the body pretty complex, but unfortunately, we just don't give it the resources that it needs. So if we can get this body what it needs, it's designed to heal itself. So literally, you cut yourself, and guess what? It's going to start healing, because that's the way God designed the body. So if you can give it the right nutrients, then you end up healing from the inside out. And that's what Exodus is so good at. It really gives you those nutrients. And then that molecular hydrogen blend is so special, because what it does, our product, you've probably heard of hydrogen, like even those hydrogen water bottles you may have seen. You click a button and it turns blue and it makes hydrogen water, and there's hydrogen that you can inhalate, etc. But the interesting thing about those, hydrogen is good with those solutions. But what our product does is you put it into your stomach, and then your stomach, when the blend interacts with your stomach fluids, your body creates the hydrogen. So since your body's creating the hydrogen, your body assimilates it much more effective than any other way. So there's much more hydrogen gets into the body using our product than any other way to get it into the body. And then you start saying, okay, well, what are those benefits? And there's thousands of studies that have already been done on hydrogen. So it's really, really important and impactful. And then you look at one of the things I love is it's called a selective antioxidant. And what that means, it's going to go into your bloodstream and find the things that aren't supposed to be there. They're called either zombie cells or sentient cells. And it goes and attaches itself to those and extracts them. So it gets rid of the bad stuff in your cells. But then the heart of your body and your cells are called the mitochondria. And the mitochondria is the energy system in your cells. And so the hydrogen actually helps the mitochondrial process be more effective. So it gets rid of the bad stuff, but then also helps the good do better. So it's like the dual combo. It's like the perfect combo to put in the body. So that's what Exodus is. It's those 7 biblical ingredients that really give you the things that you're missing in your diet typically. And then it gives you the molecular hydrogen that has the anti-inflammation effects. And then it also gets rid of the bad stuff in your bloodstream. So just an exciting combination. And that's what we ended up creating.
What are some of the other benefits it has?
Yeah, so inflammation support, that's a big one. The stress and anti-anxiety is one of them. And then just oxygenating the blood is really, really important. So that helps a lot when you get your energy levels kind of go off the charts, because it's like, that's the thing I love most about the product for me personally is about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I used to crash. Right. I'd be working really hard and but if I didn't have another cup of coffee at 2 o'clock or, another latte, I would just start crashing. And then what I started using Exodus, it gives me sustained energy. So I don't need that extra kick that a lot of people need in the afternoon or even the early evening, just like you're exhausted. You're just like, what's going on? Because your body's just lacking all the things that it needs. But with Exodus, it gives you that sustained energy. So it's just phenomenal. So anyway, the energy, got inflammation support. You've got the stress response. It's got the anti-inflammation. There's so many different things. Just make it kind of what a lot of doctors literally are using this product as the foundation. So they'll maybe help people with genetics and say, hey, let's get your genetic makeup and let's go find what's different about your particular body to help you. But they start off with Exodus. They say, here, just start taking this first, because we know it's going to give you the nutrients you need. You're going to start clearing out the bloodstream. Let's get you kind of on a level playing field. And then we'll start digging in and finding out what's particularly wrong with your health case. So that's been fascinating to work with these practitioners to get them this product as a foundation.
So is it just a pill or is it a liquid form?
Yeah, it's capsules right now. And we do that on purpose because the interaction with the human body is where the hydrogen's created. So when it interacts with your body fluid is when the hydrogen activates, and so we do it as a capsule.
Yeah. Do you just take one capsule a day or two?
Yeah, two capsules in the morning, and then a lot of times, depending upon the person, they'll take two more in the afternoon. And then we work with a lot of natural health practitioners, and they do what's called muscle testing. I don't know if you've heard of that, but muscle testing is they can test a person and see what's good and how their body reacts to certain medicines, and we'll work with these practitioners, and they'll test people and say, oh, well, you should take 2 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. You should take 1 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon. You should take 3 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon. So it's really interesting to see. It depends upon the person's individual makeup and what they're lacking, of what the best, number of capsules to take. I take 2 in the morning and sometimes 2 in the afternoon. Sometimes I just take 2 in the morning. So just kind of depends.
Yeah, just depends.
Yeah.
Awesome. So are you selling these just straight from a website then, or?
Yeah, well, actually, we do sell it on Exodus Strong. Exodus Strong is the name of the company. ExodusStrong.com you can get to, and it's a great place to get it. We even have multi-level marketing companies who are using this product as a foundational product for their system too, and so it is available via other mechanisms to get. And we have a lot of health practitioners who actually stock it in their centers as well. So it's becoming a very popular product just because the health benefits are just off the charts. There's so many different supplements out there that's just ridiculous, right? So it's like, how do you find the right one that's really going to help you? And that's what I love about Exodus. It doesn't really matter what you take. It's kind of the foundation. And then you can find things I like to do based upon what my body's lacking, because sometimes I'm lacking this particular ingredient or this particular nutrient in my diet. And so I need to supplement that particular nutrient. Whereas you might have a different diet. You might have a different atmosphere that you're in. You might have lots of different things that make up your body. And so you might be lacking a different nutrient than I. So you should probably supplement differently than I. And so but Exodus is kind of the foundation where we get people to start there, and then we tweak it, and get you healthy.
Yeah, nice. So you also believe in a mind, body, and spirit approach to healing. How do all three connect?
Yeah, it's literally so important. What's is fascinating, because when I was doing this health research, one of the things that I'd run into was frequency medicine, and frequency medicine really frustrated me early on because I'm like, give me a break, right? This one gentleman gave me these patches, and he says, this is going to help you with your pain, and I'm like, okay, great. What is it? And he's like, okay, it's got this patch you put on your body. And then I was like, okay, so there's medicine, and the medicine is going to help my pain. And he's like, no. I was like, well, what is it? And he's like, well, there's a frequency on it, and that frequency is going to help you. And I'm like, oh, come on, right? I literally was like, give me a break. That didn't make any sense to me. So I started doing my research, and I started research that the human body is made up of energy, which was fascinating. I didn't really know that. And then even down to the cellular level of our bodies, our cells interact via vibration, and those vibrations give off a frequency. I was like, wow, that's interesting. So I found out the body can receive a frequency, but then it gives off a frequency. And so when you start understanding this frequency medicine and how our bodies interact with each other, it's fascinating. It's like stuff I didn't have a clue about. And then when I started researching the frequencies, and you put this frequency on the body, it connects to your energy system in the body and then starts helping. And I was like, that's fascinating. I didn't have any clue to energy medicine or energy or frequencies. So that opened up a whole new world to me. And then as I'm just scientifically researching these ingredients and supplements, I do research about the mind, and the mind is so powerful, right? The mind literally can control your body, It's like, how does that work? And it's like just so incredible that you literally can think about things, and you can tell your body to do things, and it's your body will listen to what your mind is telling you. So your mind is like really powerful. You say, hey, there's the positive mental attitude that people say in sports, right? It's really important, right? What you believe and what you think can actually change your physical existence. And there's lots of scientific studies that prove that. So when you start realizing that your mind is super powerful, and you realize that there is an energy system around us and working, and then you start going, holy smoke. So the body inside, we all know that scientifically, right? You put nutrients in, your body operates, and the inside of the body, that starts making sense. And then you realize how important the mind is, and how strong and impactful that is on your body. And then if you are a believer, I believe in God, and I believe that you can have a conversation with God, and that he can communicate with you, and that spirit connection. I believe we have this innate desire or innate wondering what the universe is like, or what our creator is. And that mind, body, spirit connection is so powerful. So what we do with our product, we include a prayer guide that goes with the product. And the guide just has 3 things on it. It's like got an intention. So your mind, right? Your mind's, saying this is going to help me. And then you take the nutrients inside the body. So your body's getting help. And then you say a prayer, and that's going to be the spirit connection. So you get your mind, body, and spirit, by, even the Bible tells us there's power in the tongue. So if you verbally say it, there's power in that, because your mind's going to believe it. Your mouth is declaring it. And the combination of the mind, body, spirit is just something really unique that we try to do, because it's proven out time and time and time again how important the combination of those 3 things are. You can do each one individually, and it might be successful, but boy, you combine all 3, and the power of that is just astronomical on the effects on how much better you can make your body and make your life if you just do all 3.
Yeah. I did some deep diving into like the mind, and how like, I think they did like an experiment where somebody was blindfolded, and they had to put their hand through like something, and they were touching like ice, and they told them their hand was burning and they're on fire, and they actually had like their skin showed burns on it. They actually believed it, and they were actually touching ice. And it's just crazy in that
it is.
aspect.
It's it doesn't logically make sense, but then you start researching these things, and it's, wow, you really realize how powerful your mind is. Your mind is very, very, it literally can control your body. So it's phenomenal.
Yeah. Why do you think so many people ignore the spiritual part of it?
Yeah, I mean, I just think that's in the society that we live in. It's like it's been pushed to the side in a lot of people's lives. It's just, we're so busy. We all have lives. Our lives are engineered to be busy. And I didn't think about spiritual things for a really, really long time, until something really hit me. The COVID period really hit me, and it was the first time that I was just really had a desire to learn it. I said, okay, is this true? And maybe the Bible isn't true, right? So I literally just started digging into the Bible, and that's where I started. Lots of people can start in different ways, but I started there just because I wanted to see, is this real? And if you go do the textual criticism of the Bible, how accurate the actual text is, and then you look at the prophetic proof in the Bible, the prophecy proof from the Bible, it's undeniable. And then you even look at the archaeological evidence and proof from the Bible, and how accurate the Bible is. It's like, okay, if this is that accurate, it's the most accurate book ever made. And then you actually read it. So I said that maybe I should read it, right? What does it really say? And boy, when you read it, it's just fascinating. So you just transitions yourself from a religion, which I don't like religion, because I don't think that's what, I don't think that's what we're here for. I think we're here for a relationship, and you can have a direct relationship with with your creator. So that's one of the things I just want to give people, that hope that you can have a relationship with your creator, and it's not a weird thing. It can be a really special thing, and I just think people ignore it, and it's just kind of our nature, right? It's like, well, hey, you're going to get up today and it's going to be me, 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 me. You know, it's all about, what do I do today? Well, how do I survive? How do I do this? How do I do that? And it becomes this really selfish world that we live in. And instead of looking at it and saying, you know, when you go through the biblical story and what the purpose of us human beings are on this earth, it's to help the kingdom. It's like to help other people. So I've really transitioned my life to be, instead of how can Rob do better and make more money and build a better business and do this and do that and, you know, do things, it's no longer about me. It's like, how can I be a better person? How can I have a positive impact on other people's lives? And then how can I help them? And if I can help other people, you know, then guess what? We're going to be, and just think of if everybody started doing that, started looking outside of themselves and saying, how can I help you? And how can I help you be better? And we all did that, man, what a different world we would live in, instead of it being so selfish. And so anyway, that's what I just believe, that we've gotten into this world where it's just, we don't think about the spiritual component to our lives, and we just live our lives. And then unfortunately that turns us into very selfish human beings, and instead of gracious human beings. And man, I want to get, my goal in life is to get people healthy. I really want to get them healthy, because we just have ruined our bodies in a really big way. And we've just lost this desire to take care of this temple. And if we can take care of this temple and you start feeling better, it gets addictive. You're like, oh my gosh, I feel so much better. And then you want to help other people. And if we can get everybody like that, instead of just sitting down Netflixing and chilling, right, and doing nothing, that you can actually make a difference in this world by just getting out there and having that conversation with your neighbor. Or maybe that's the neighbor that you haven't talked to that you maybe should, and maybe you can help someone. And if we all started doing that just a little teeny bit, imagine the world that we'd live in, compared to the selfish one that we live in today.
Yeah, be a completely different world.
Yes, it would. And I think we can do it. It's just, we need to start, you start one day at a time. So I'm starting with people's health. It's like, how can I help you with your health? There's so many things that I'm learning and understanding, that if I can help you just a little bit with your health, and you're like, hey, this guy's not as strange as it sounded when he first started talking. But guess what? Then I'm going to start doing that. And then I'm going to tell other people how to do that. And if we can just educate people on how to take care of this cool temple that God gave us, then guess what? We're going to be much better off as humans.
Yeah. You host the I Am Free podcast. What inspired you to start podcasting?
Yeah, it was literally, what started it was that patch, because I'd heard about that patch, and this gentleman showed me this patch, and I thought he was crazy. And I started doing research on it. I'm like, oh my gosh, this little patch actually is helping people. So we started working with our community and helping people with this patch. It was a pain patch at the time. And you just put this little patch on. It's about the size of a nickel. And then it has a frequency on it, and it connects to the energy system in the body and helps you. And was one woman who came who hadn't been able to lift her arm for a decade. So for 10 years, she couldn't lift her arm. She came and used one of our patches, and an hour later, she came back to me and lifted up her arm, and she was just like blown away. And I was like, what's going on? Because I didn't realize, I didn't get the connection. I'm like, yeah, okay, so you can move your arm. That's great. But she's like, no, you don't understand. I haven't been able to do that for 10 years. I'm like, are you kidding me? And so I started seeing the results of this frequency medicine, and it was just so exciting. I was like, I got to help people. And so I created the podcast to help people with pain. I was doing research on chronic pain in the United States, and almost 50% of our seniors, 50%, like half, have some type of chronic pain. And I'm like, well, that sucks. Who wants to live in pain? I don't like to live. Do you like to live in pain, Ryan?
No.
It sucks, right? Pain sucks.
Yeah.
So 50% of the people are not feeling well. I'm like, that stinks. So I created that podcast just to say, hey, how can we learn to be less pain and have less pain? And so it's been fascinating because I learned how awesome things like water and hydration and nutrients, getting those nutrients in the body, and you reduce the inflammation level in the body. And guess what? All those that pain word, it starts diminishing, and you start releasing that from your body. And then it's like so addicting, because then you're just like, wow, I feel so much better. And all it took was me to maybe hydrate in the morning and get some sun. So I tell people that there's 7 things that you can do for your health, and most of them are free. If you can do these things, then your life's going to be much better off, right? Hydration is one of them. Getting that vitamin D, that we talked about earlier, that is super important. That vitamin D is awesome for your body and your skin. And then getting good oxygen. So you go outside and do breathing techniques. You can do for 7 minutes, if you do an actual programmatic way to do breathing. It's called the Wim Hof method is one of them. There's lots of different methods, but go do some research on Wim Hof, WIMHOFF, and look at his breathing techniques. If you do his breathing techniques for 7 minutes a day, you can elongate your life by 7 years. So you get 7 years of your life just by breathing right, and so that's pretty crazy. Then I learned about grounding. I thought grounding was dumb. My wife would go out and say, oh, you need to put, I was like, come on, I don't need to put my feet on the ground. Then I learned how your body just charges negative energy through the earth, and then it recharges with positive energy. And all you had to do is take your socks and shoes off and get your feet on God's given earth, so that, and then the nutrients we talked about. Movement, right? It's some of the basic things, right? Just actually moving really is important. Instead of just sitting on the couch, actually move and do things. And so you start, if you do those 7 things, you don't have to do them all every single day, but man, you start adding those things together, and it just becomes exciting. It becomes addicting. It's like, man, I feel so much better. I'm eating well. I'm getting the right hydration in the body. I'm getting sun. My energy levels are going through the roof because it's things that I hadn't done. Hadn't been treating the body the way it's supposed to be. And it's just exciting when you get people onto that train, and they start feeling better, and they're like, wow, this is cool. So that's what I'm super passionate about.
Yeah. What was probably been the most challenging part for you when you started podcasting?
Yeah, that's just the time it takes, right? You have to literally find great guests, and it takes a lot of time, and that's been the most challenging thing, is just how do you navigate your day with all the things that you need to do. And I've got multiple businesses that I'm running, and then but I still have this passion to help people. In fact, I'm renaming my podcast. It used to be called the I Am Pain Free Podcast, and it's called Biohackingville Podcast now, because I love biohacking. I love all things red light therapy. I love all things cold plunges and those types of things. It's just to help your body naturally do things. And then I'm learning a lot about integrative oncology, cancer and natural cancer treatments and things like that are really important. And since I'm learning all this really amazing information, I don't want to just keep it to myself. So I said, hey, I'm going to create this community called Biohackingville. And within that community, I'm going to have all natural health information. I'm going to have integrative oncology information. I'm going to have some faith-based information in there. It's just places that people can go who like to talk about those things, right? You like red light therapy? Boom, great. I've got a ton of red light therapy research, right? And what it can do and how it can help you. And hey, you like nutrients? You want to learn about how frankincense helps you. Right, frankincense helps you with this, and so it's fascinating.
Nice. How can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, Biohackingville is the community that I live in. So it's a community that's just exciting, because that's where I spend a lot of my time just researching. A lot of the research that I do gets put up in there. I'm creating all sorts of tools. Like I have a fasting tool to help you track your fast. I have a tool in there to help you track your red light therapy sessions. And you can see, the difference between when you first started doing your red light therapy into after you do it multiple times, and so you can see the progression of your body. So I got these two. I love technology, so I'm trying to combine this technology world with the natural health world, because unfortunately AI systems are super cool, but guess what? Those AI systems are trained on big pharma data and bad data a lot of times. So I'm trying to get this good collection of all natural health information and get people access to it, so then they can start doing research and say, hey, maybe I have this particular problem and I want to try to do things naturally. How could I get help? And so I have tools there to help people understand how to do things naturally.
Nice. Is there anything we haven't talked about, or anything we haven't covered that you want to talk about?
I don't think so. Biohackingville, awesome community, lots of resources that are free there for you, lots of fun. And then just digging into Exodus Strong, our supplement, and what it does is super exciting. And then just, if you look at the combination of red light therapy, frequency therapy, and hydrogen therapy, the combination of those three things are really, really key. And I'm working on solutions that combine all three. So I'm combining red light therapy with frequency solutions and with hydrogen. And you combine all three of those, it's stuff that nobody else on this planet is putting together as a packaged solutions. And I'm bringing that to the world, and I'm excited about it.
Nice. All right, final question. What is one piece of advice you'd like to leave our listeners with about overcoming adversity?
You know what? The biggest piece of advice is literally knowing that if you have breath in your lungs today, that God has a plan for your life. And if God has a plan for your life, then understand that. And since you do, he does have a plan for your life, you can help make a difference in the world. So just know that there's hope, right? There is hope. Tomorrow is a better day. Tomorrow can be a better day. And if you have breath in your lungs, God has a plan for your life, and go help someone else.
Love it. Well, Rob, thank you for coming on here and sharing your infinite knowledge with all of us.
I'm super excited to do it. I appreciate you very much, my friend.
Yeah. Well, guys, that's going to be all the time we have here today. Remember, the only way to get what you want is to go through the fire.
Amen.